because winning is fun. We're on. It's me and Dr. V. We're live. It's Sunday. Thank you for joining us. Hope you guys are having a nice freezing Sunday. If you're down south, we didn't get hit. It's just cold as can be. All the snow's still on the ground for like a week ago. Nothing has melted. It's all hard. If you didn't shovel immediately, you were dead meat here. That's what happened. We shoveled fast. We took care of it. Of course, others haven't shoveled for them, but that's a different type of a thing, but we're not going to get into that.
Oh, I was driving in Philly yesterday. They do a terrible. I was driving around in the city of Philadelphia. They do a terrible job with the secondary roads.
You can only do what you can do because people are parked there. You can only do what you can do. Either they move their cars or they don't, and they got to do it in their.
Everybody's got chairs in their places where they dug out.
It's against the law here. It's against the law here. Either way, we are an opinion group. Thank you all for coming. We are an opinion show. We give you our opinions based on the facts as we see them. If you guys disagree and have different opinions, we'd love to see you over in the mosh pit, over in the chat room. But we're going to tell you what we think. We're going to disagree, or we may agree. But we love hearing from you, and understand, once again, we are an opinion group that tells you our opinion. And our opinion is based on facts. If you got different facts, let us know. The title of this show is called The End of the American Century. Everybody's been hearing it. We have a song for that. On the Devo album, the Duty Now for the Future album, it's called the Devo Corporate Anthem. That's what you want to see. Go onto YouTube and you'll hear it as we devolve. Turn on Devo's Corporate Anthem and see how it sounds if they sit there and they're saluting. Where are we right now? We got a few things going on. We're talking about the end of the American century. We're going to have to bring all this stuff in. Quickly, Epstein. Epstein is here. Epstein is here. They're hiding half of the I wanted to hit somebody for calling me. That person knows never to call me at this time, Joe. That's why I had to take it. I apologize. I didn't take it. I just had to get rid of it. I'm not going to say who it is, but she and I are going to have a talk. Either way, the Epstein, they're only turning over half of the Epstein papers. That's all they're doing. And Todd Blanche, who is the attorney general, sits there and goes, well, nobody's ever going to be happy, so it doesn't matter. Ministry of Information, 1984. Here we go again. It's just really, really simple, okay? We get lies, we have things thrown at us, and it just keeps going. Minnesota, 2 people die, killed Americans by thugs, by masked thugs in Minnesota. Now suddenly they're going to have an investigation, a civil rights investigation, after they made a decision that there is no civil rights investigation necessary, after all the lead civil rights lawyers have left because they were not allowed to take part in any investigation, and now they're suddenly having an honest and open investigation. Ministry of Information, more BS as it keeps coming down. Now where do we go? Let's take it a step further. We've talked about this a lot. Our economy is in real trouble. And it's not happening today, but it's starting to happen. This last month, nobody talked about it. President Trump didn't talk about it. Inflation was at 3%, not 2.8% like everybody thought it was going to be. It's at 3%, which is higher than where we've been. Costs are still going up, and unemployment is not that good. We just had announced, I believe Amazon said they're cutting 30,000 people. You heard that, Joe? And a couple others are cutting like 15, 10,000. You're hearing these numbers are just going out in the street. And what's going to happen when you cut these people? These people are being cut for either AI purposes or because these big corporations want to put more money into their pocket. That's always where it is. But what's going to happen to these people? Is this going to be like what happened in West Virginia when they stopped mining coal? The people didn't have jobs. There was nowhere for them to go. They didn't learn. They weren't taught new things. These companies, we've been talking about this, Joe, a couple of times. I want to hit it. But this is where the end of the American century is. It's all part of this. These companies that are just firing these people and getting rid of them are not training them for where things are going to go. If AI is going to replace them, and these companies are smart enough to know that AI is going to replace this person and this person, then this company should know where they're going to need people down the chain where they don't have AI. And they should be training these people, or how these people can use AI to make the jobs easier. They should be training these people, not just firing them and putting them on the streets. They should be training these people and saying, this is what you can learn to be prepared, and we'll bring you back when this is happening and we've reached this, or maybe we can give you some work to do. There are things like that, but nobody's talking about that. Trump's not talking about that. The Republicans aren't talking about that. The Democrats aren't talking about that. As this just keeps rolling, it's more than just interest rates, Joe. It's all of this. Are we prepared for the future? A great country that knows where it's going, that's going to maintain its hegemonic strength, knows the future and goes with the future. America's not doing that. Trump isn't doing it. We haven't even gotten to the part where we have no friends or trading partners any longer, essentially. So we're sitting here looking at this. So we have no plans for all these people being laid off because of AI, but all these rich people are going to be whacking it down, pumping the cash in. They got the savings. They say they pass it on to stockholders. They're the biggest stockholders, and they're making income from all this. The stockholders are America in this world now. And if we're going to have this type of an overhaul of the economy, of technology, then people, Americans, should be trained to have these jobs and be prepared to move forward. Americans shouldn't be shot in the streets by thugs, by masked thugs. America should be training Americans who are being laid off what we should do, how we keep them on, or how we can keep them on or get new jobs for them, and get them prepared for the future and not have them end up sitting at home. So in 5 years, we start reading these stories about all these unemployed, Joe. You're going to have so much business about all these unemployed. They're depressed. They're this, they're that. They're not going to know what to do because they have not been trained to get ready for the new future, which is here now. We're going to have such a tough economy that way. You're going to see the wealthy talk about the K. It's going to be more than a K. It's going to be, I don't know what it's going to be, like a V. If you look at it on the side, it's just going to be like this. Rich are going to be going like this, and the poor are going to be in middle class are going to be going like this. Wall Street Journal tries to make an excuse, say, well, there isn't middle class that much anymore because they've moved up. Don't give me that. But I think they said that, or the poor, and because they've moved up, so the numbers are a little jagged. They are not. Bottom line is simple. You make under 80,000, you're whacked in this economy. You can't buy food. You can't buy stuff for the kids. You already went and did it. Interest rates are up. And even if you push the interest rates down, if you're paying 25% on the Visa card and they drop it down to 24%, it ain't going to make a difference because the amount of money is rolling. That's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. That principal that you owe, the principal and interest, and it just goes on top of it, on top of it. Talk about compounding. When you're compounding that kind of money a month, incredible. So we have that kind of a problem coming on with our economy, and it's right here, and it's maybe a couple years away after Trump juices it, gets his guy into the Fed Reserve, Warsh, to be the new Fed head, juices the economy, gets people to juice the economy, and then inflation will start rolling. And we're going to have some real issues here as so many people lose their jobs because as inflation's going up, there's not going to be new jobs for people. There are going to be people losing their jobs. And why else on top of that, Joe? We don't even have people to have trade anymore with any countries. Did you know that our trade balance was horrible this month? Did you hear Trump talk about it? It was horrible this month. Absolutely horrendous. Just passed. These numbers, you don't hear Trump talking about any of this. But the problem with that is we've got no friends anymore. Canada's making deals with China. Britain is making deals with China. France is talking about making deals with China. Mexico is looking to do their thing. Down in Argentina and Venezuela, they're just trying to hold on long enough so that when Trump's out, the people who are in charge can keep doing what they're doing. You don't see a move to democracy. You don't see anything. You see an armada, as he uses the word, steam into Iran. Please go into Just American Citizen and please subscribe, because you're going to see on there a video Joe knows all about. We talked about, what I call it, the return or the echoes of the Spanish Armada. And we talked about it. In the old days, back in, the 1600s, the Spanish had the greatest navy of all. They had these big, big boats. They could blow everybody out of the water. Well, the British came in, and they had a zillion little boats, and they came in, made moves. They were faster. And at the big battle, the Spanish Armada tasted it. And Trump is calling what we've got an armada. This guy, as our president, who says he knows history and he's a warrior, wants to call our American Navy out there an armada that got handled, because Armada got handled the Spanish Armada. Wake up. We've got a problem. Mexico doesn't want to trade with us anymore. And for those who keep thinking that we had it so bad, we had the greatest economy in the world. The world was structured around us. We were a hegemon. The reason that there were no jobs and people were losing jobs in this country wasn't because of immigrants. It was because we weren't doing what we're not doing now. As the economy went through the changes, we didn't train Americans for the new jobs. So those Americans didn't have jobs. They lost their jobs and had to live on welfare and other handouts from the state and get mad and get bummed. And that's what happened then. And that's what's happening now. And at the same time, though, we had people trading with us. Canada, right on top. Canada's a great country. We have Mexico. Yeah, we got their problem with the gangs, but we're dealing with it. We had great trade going on with them. A lot of money going back and forth, keeping the prices down, making it easier. They keep talking about our trade deficit. We sold so many services to people around the world. That trade deficit was an incredible number in our favor, but that doesn't get added into the quote unquote trade deficit that everyone sees that this past month we got a real problem with, and Trump didn't talk about it. Not only that, NATO, a group of countries that were put together so we could stop further world wars. That was the whole idea of NATO. That was the whole idea of America trying to set up a rules-based world. Yeah, we were wrong. Yeah, we blew it in Vietnam. Yeah, we blew it. We did what we had. We did the right thing, I think, in Korea, but we didn't handle it right when MacArthur decided to go over the line and almost try to go into China, which invited China in. Nobody knows about that war. I always found it very interesting. Either way, and it never really had a peace. They just have kind of like a no fire line that's been south of North Korea all these years, all these decades. So we sit here and we're going, who's going to stop the war? You have Russia pumping in incredible amounts of drones. There was a big article about how one of their guys is sending in balloons with cigarettes and tobacco in it. So they just break overhead and come down. It just blows out the radar, makes them think that there's stuff coming in, that there are bombs coming in or whatever. Real problems. And what are we doing? Nothing. We're just going in. Trump's talking big on Iran. Then he wants to go and do whatever he wants with his armada. We've got nothing going on down in Venezuela. Our economy is not doing well. Talk all you want about the stock market. Stock market doesn't mean everybody in the stock market's doing well. I hear a lot of people not doing that well in the stock market because they had all this technology, right? And that stuff's gone down. So you can't use that as an example of what's going on with the country. You lose an example of why is gold and silver gone so high? Of course, they've corrected the last day. They exploded down, but they're going to have to hit a base. And why is the dollar so weak? What's so great about a weak dollar? Remember, if you want to buy something from people who sell into America and their currency is stronger than ours, then we're going to pay more. So if the dollar is worth less, something from overseas costs more, while at the same time, all these manufacturing jobs that Trump's been talking about, Joe, have not appeared. Manufacturing jobs are down in America since Trump came in. It's just not working. It's just not working, except a lot of yelling and screaming, trying to take journalists and put them in jail. Don Lemon, and I'm not a big fan of Don Lemon. And as you all know, we said it a couple of weeks ago, those people going into that church was wrong in where was that? In Minnesota. They had no right, or they had right, but they were wrong to go in. The people were praying. You don't go into a church, a mosque, or a synagogue and stop, or whatever place of worship, stop people from praying. That was so wrong. But Don Lemon is a journalist. You don't start charging journalists with criminal charges. Think about it. But it all starts here. So somebody will go, well, he's really not a journalist. Well, he was for 30 years, and he has been. Well, he shouldn't have been inside the church. Well, as soon as you start laying that out, then the next move is, well, if this happens and it's a lesser standard, and then if this happens and it's a lesser standard, that's what happens in the Ministry of Information. That's what happens when a government starts taking people's rights. That's what happens when the American century is over. That's what happens. Joe, what do you have to say? Anything, or is there something you think I should respond to on the mosh pit? Your call.
Let me say this, and then we can talk about the mosh pit a little bit.
Okay.
You've mentioned a whole lot of things going on, and to be fair, you called the end of the American century years ago. That's something that you predicted. What I'd like to know is, what are the top 3 factors you would say is causing the end of the American century? Let's list them. Go ahead.
Trump, and Trump.
Okay. So what is it about Trump that's causing the end of the American century?
Well, what he's done is understand, on the good side of him, if you're going to look at him and you like him, okay, is that the power he's been exercising from the presidency and having the Republicans totally cower, and those either love him or those who are afraid of him do whatever he wants, is one of the most amazing things I've ever seen, okay? But being able to do that means that he then can move things around in ways that it's never been moved around before. He has just knocked NATO out. Nobody can trust America anymore. Listen to what he says. He calls people names. He says that these countries that put their men and women on the battlefields next to America and lost those men and women, he says they're like nothing. This is the guy who was afraid, who when he was drafted, found exemptions, 4 or 5 times, it appears, because daddy had a lot of money, and you start hearing about his bone spurs. So you have that going on. He can control that. He controls totally what's going on around the world and concerning our contacts and our relationships with others. And as a result, Joe, that then breaks up what we have and sends those people to, this is part 1 of the 3, sends those countries to those who are our adversaries, or at least maybe some of the enemies, for them to say, man, I can't trust America anymore. I got to talk to these other dudes who got money and who are saying to me, I want to make a deal with you. That's one Trump. Number 2 Trump, okay? Number 2 Trump is putting billions of dollars into a nationalized police force that is all for him to use as he sees fit. You could call it Border Patrol all you want. You could call it ICE all you want. When they are going in their cars and just blowing in, knocking in doors, taking out Americans, or questioning people because they don't like the way they look, that is just blowing away America's civil rights. That's why listen to what's going on in Minnesota. There are people there, understand, let's say this again. I'm totally in favor of nonviolence. That's the way it should be. No violence is necessary. It's tough, but if you're out there and you're protesting, you want to be like the civil rights protesters that we grew up seeing in the 60s, Joe, where they got beaten and they had dogs bite them and they got put in jail and they got hosed, and people watched it and said, this is wrong. This is wrong. So when you have protesters in Minnesota, and there aren't many, it's a minimum amount, but they're up there and they're just attacking the ICE and stuff. It's just wrong. Going into the church, it's just wrong. But for the great, great, great majority, because Fox likes to show them, this is Trump number 2 again. But for the great, great, great majority, they are using and exercising their rights under the Bill of Rights, okay? And the Ministry of Information under Trump says they're not doing that. They're just basically bad people. They're bad people looking to stop us. Us meaning him, the military, but the militaristic way ICE is. Us meaning the way I, Donald Trump, want to do things. That's a real problem. That's taking away rights. Number 3, Trump, what he's doing to the economy. We have no real trade that we can make with anybody else. We keep hearing about all this income that's going to be coming in for investment, but we don't see it coming in because manufacturing jobs are going down under Donald Trump. We don't see Donald Trump talking about having people re-educated early and working with these companies that are paying him so much money. This is Trump number 3, that are paying him so much money. He should be saying to them, let's start educating these people you're going to be laying off. Let's start finding a place for them to be. So we are looking towards the future. We as Americans, we who care, we do that. But he doesn't do that. All he cares about is what he wants. He's going to be putting in his big Arc Day triumph. It's going to tower over the Lincoln Memorial, I understand. That's where he's focused. This is Trump number 3, killing our economy. You know, America us, America me, America not you. America first isn't that way. We're just America alone. I'm just coming up with words. That's all we are. That's Trump number 3. We are the biggest. We are the strongest. I can be a bully. I can kick your butt. And if you don't do what I want you to do, you're in trouble. They go, okay, right on. I'll give you gifts. And then they go out and start working with other countries. All of our trading is going to be really, all these trading routes and everything we had. It was great for our country. Our dollar was strong. People wanted to come and live here. We were the shining light. We made lots of mistakes, big ones, but we always did it trying to believe that we were doing the right thing. That's not what's going on now. This is what you talk about, Joe. When I say to you, it's all emotion, and you say, no, we have to think America, morals, and being good and doing all this kind of stuff. And I always say, no, it's emotion now. That's all anybody cares about. But you're right. And that's what Trump number 3 is destroying. All of that makes the essence of America, because it only has to be him. When the woman Renee Good died when she was shot and killed, okay? And all he worried about was her dad still a supporter of Trump? That's all he cared about. So you hear this kind of stuff going on. That's Trump number 3. So that's Trump 1, Trump 2 for the economy, Trump 1, how he's destroying all of our friends. That's what it ended. And Trump 3 about he's destroying our American essence. I wanted to make sure I got your answer for your question, Joe. That was all.
Sounds like there's one thread that encompasses all those 3 reasons, and that is that there's a moral, ethical decay in the country, and it's sort of represented by Trump. And the 3 reasons are misinformation, so lying, so that he's trying to hide stuff. And what is he trying to hide? Not virtuous things he's doing. He's trying to hide the non-virtuous things.
And while being a bully, let me just add to it. That's all Trump won. And while being a bully to our old erstwhile friends or allies, remember? So that's all part of what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's
the Epstein
America
files would be an example. There's numerous examples when he lies about the reasons why the people in Minnesota were shot, and all that is misinformation. And he's basically lying to protect immoral, wrong behavior. And number 2, he said, and take away people's rights. What I see is that he's supporting people who are rich and powerful and ignoring the people who are in a one-down position. And really, you don't get taller by stepping on someone's neck. You get taller by bending down to help people. And I don't know about governments, but I know about human beings. And the people that I know who are happiest are the people who are doing something for other people, who show gratitude for what they have, who are not just in the pursuit of money and power, because that becomes its own addiction. It may make you feel good temporarily, but then you're just hungry for more and more, and it never satisfies. So that's number two. And number three, the economy. Again, you see that his economic policies are geared toward helping people who are already have resources, who are willing to kick back money to him. And the people who really need the help, he's not really there for. And someone pointed out in the chat that the stock market is up, which is great. It's great for me because I have a lot of money in the stock market and it's good for my 401ks, but it's not helping the people who are not invested, who don't own a home. And when we were a country dedicated to helping all individuals, to treating all people with respect, that all human beings were created equal, that's when we were an example to the world of what people could be. Now, we don't always live up to those ideals, but at least that's what we professed, and that's what we tried our best to project to the world. And that's why we had friends. That's why people wanted to come into the country. That's why when 9/11 hit, other countries sent their blood, their sweat, their tears to help us, to support us, because we were in a morally correct position. But we've lost that. And that's why I think we're losing allies. That's why I think that we're rotting even from within. When you eat your own, when you eat poor people, you hollow out the core of who you are. And so I think your three reasons come down to one fundamental reason, which is that we've lost our moral direction.
I'm with you, Joe. I'm looking at the chat. Okay.
Yeah.
And what I want to know is why people just have to attack everybody. Doesn't bum me out. I don't care. But I see words in there, and they just, if you don't like what you hear, you call people names. That's what a lot of these people are doing. It's like I've never seen anything like it. Well, I have. I see it every week when we're doing this on Wednesdays and Sundays. Wednesdays at 5, Sundays at 11. And please go into Just American Citizen and subscribe. But let's talk about all this. And I see a lot of people coming back with some good ideas and saying things. But why people just feel that the only way to answer is, well, you're this or you're that, or I don't want to say any of the words. The words really aren't that bad. Thank you, Spartacus. But we're just looking at this and you go, okay, then come up with ideas and say why it's wrong. Why it's wrong. And I don't see what we're saying it's wrong. You could say, hey, I'm dumb. I'm this. I'm a boomer. He's got no hair. I got even less, or I got a little more, or whatever. You can say it all, but it doesn't make your point. We want you to have your points, because when you act like that, you make our basic point that I always come back to. That is, we are in de-evolution. Been talking about this for a long time. Devo. Are we not men? We are Devo. Devolution. Not only is this a great album, but devolution means we're going backwards. We're going back to the way we used to be. Just mouthing, just yelling, no backup, no facts. So while you're at it, those of you who just want to call others names, I don't care, right, left, east, west, okay? Go on so you can get it on YouTube, but I would say all the way, watch the Devo corporate anthem on YouTube. Then you'll understand where it is. Misinformation. It's perfect. It's what 1984 is. It's yell at the other side, call them names, tell them they're wrong, and not be able to back up what they're saying. It's just that simple. Okay?
So as a specific example, let's look at immigration. I think it's fair to say in retrospect that during the Biden administration, a lot of people came into this country illegally.
We've been saying this
I know, but we have to address this, because people, anything else we say, if we don't acknowledge that fact, people will dismiss as, a bunch of crap coming out of boomers' mouths.
They could check Just an American Citizen. Joe, you and I have been saying this for years.
Let's acknowledge that some mistakes were made during the Biden administration. And he may have had a good heart when he opened up the borders and that sort of thing, but the fact was that it overwhelmed the border towns, and then then they started busing people to cities, and the cities were overwhelmed. So we weren't able to handle that capacity. And I think most reasonable people would say that was a mistake. Even Biden later in his term, I think, recognized it as a mistake because he did tighten things up.
Who cares?
But the point is, so that's the issue. How do we deal with that issue?
What issue?
That there was a period of time when a lot of people
you go after the criminals. You go after the bad criminals instead of just coming in and kicking in Americans' doors like that guy who came from Vietnam, and they put a blanket around him and put shorts on him and took him out and put out the lie that they were looking for two guys there when those guys were in jail. Well, one of the guys was in jail. I got a friend who still believes that BS that Fox put out there. That's the Ministry of Misinformation.
Yeah, so let's agree. Ministry of Misinformation is wrong. And that's part of the moral issue that's decaying this country. But let's put our big boy hats on and say, how are we going to deal with this issue? And I'd be interested if there are people in the chat who are interested in solving the problem. Because Trump, I think, desperately wants to go down in history for doing something substantial. Dealing with this immigration crisis is something that he could go down in history for solving. I remember when Nixon, who was a hawk against China, opened up the doors to China. And that's one of the things that he's remembered for doing something good. And that could happen for Trump. If he sat down in a bipartisan way and said, what are we going to do about immigration here? And so, for example, let me ask the chat, if someone came in illegally 30 years ago, but since then has raised a wonderful family, has a job, pays taxes, is that someone that we want to deport just because he came in the country illegally 30 years ago? Let's look at who.
I am. Stabby, wait a second. Stabby, they had no lawful reason to kick in the guy's door and pull him out, okay? That is the fact. You're not putting the facts out there. This guy who came out of Vietnam is an American, and they had no judicial order allowing them to come into his house, and they took him out in the freezing cold, left them somewhere after they found out they were wrong. So you see, that's the kind of stuff that's so horrible, and that's the kind of stuff that just enrages me. Joe's reasonable. Joe tries, except when you don't see him, then he lets me have it. But Joe is reasonable, and Joe will tell you and sensible and stuff. That's not what's going on here. This is either going over the line. Yeah, you can talk about it. Look, we've said it 100 times, Joe. We put out a whole immigration plan that we've talked about for years and years and years. They don't want to deal with it. We've talked about you bring in the bad people and do it and leave these other people alone, because what you end up doing is you have thugs who put on masks and they go, I have to wear this mask because I'm being attacked. You ain't being attacked, Hoss. You got the guns. You're the one shooting people in the face with the pepper balls. That's what's going on here. And that's what's horrible. And that's where we have to stop it. And there's no excuse. It's well beyond doing what they want to do. Remember, when suddenly Bondi, the attorney general, was it a week ago, sent a letter to the governor and said, give us your voting rolls. Give us your voter rolls and we'll get them out of there. How about Fulton County? Trump has sent in the FBI into Fulton County to get through Bam Bondi to get all that voting records from 2020. And let me tell you, it's more than worrying about 2020. It's them getting ready to fix the election for 2026. And
we don't know that for sure. That's a possibility.
You don't look. Of course, you don't know anything for sure. But if this is an opinion show.
Okay, that's your opinion.
This is my opinion. But if you look at what's been going on as they invade homes without judicial warrants, as they just kill people, as they do what they want to do and make nothing but excuses for it because they are the government. And since they are the government, that's the way it is. You have to assume only the worst. Trump went in there. Nobody knows where that stuff is now. It was under lock and key in Fulton County. It was closed off. Nobody could look at it. Now it's gone. Nobody knows what's going on. Are they fixing it? Are they throwing things out? What are they doing? This isn't open. This is a cover-up. This is coming in after losing 60 cases. This is where we're going. And if you can't believe that they are now looking at 2026, then you're closing your eyes. Then you're one of those monkeys. I hear no evil. I see no evil. I speak no evil. No way, baby. That's what these people are doing. They are getting ready, my opinion, they are getting ready for 2026. And if we're not ready for it, we're going to have some real issues. They're going to say, they're going to try an executive order probably and say you can't have mail-in ballots, or you have to have IDs for this or that after you've already shown them. Oregon, Texas. Okay, Trump, right on. He is the reason for the problem. Thank you for putting it up there. So that's where it is, Joe. And if we don't open our eyes and we're not prepared for, that's why I said it's the end of the American century. We now have to worry about America. America inside, we're being hollowed out. We're being taken apart. And it's government and people, the cult runs behind the government. There's a cult group. Most people aren't, but you have that 20% or 30%. No matter what he does, it's okay. The tariffs were killing some farmers. I saw on one TV. Man, I'm losing. I may go bankrupt, but that's okay. I still love President Trump. Wow. Tremendous. That's great. That's what you want to believe. That's what you can believe. But the problem you got here is that this guy is making the move. Look at the Constitution. Elections are run by the states. Let me tell you what else bothers them. Did you all see in Texas yesterday that a Democratic in a state Senate race in Texas, a Democrat won in an area that Trump won by 17 points? They're having conniptions. The hair's getting pulled out. They're starting to look like Joe down there. Soon you're going to start hearing fraud. They've got a problem. And that's why Trump is doing this, Joe, and through Bondi by getting in there so they can really control the election and see how much they can control the outcome. And that's my opinion, and you can disagree, but I look at the facts. I look at what's going on. I've seen this stuff before, and it ain't ended. It's just getting worse because he knows he can get away with it. Joe.
Well, there's some hints that he can't get away with it. And you can see what happened in Greenland when European countries stood up and Mark Carney called him out and said, you know, we're not going to put up with this crap. What did he do? He did his taco thing where he backed down.
No, he didn't. Let me tell you what he did.
Go ahead.
Canada then went to do a deal with China to reduce tariffs on both. Trump says, you make that deal, I'm hitting you with the 100% tariffs from us. Carney backed down. Oh, I'm not making a big deal with China, Mr. Trump. I understand how Carney feels, but Trump ain't no taco. Trump moves. Taco to me isn't negative. Taco to me is positive. You move. The guy's moving. He's going down the court. He's dribbling. He knows where he's going. He doesn't always know where he's going. He just keeps going. So that's what's going on. He didn't do anything. He won. He beat the Canadians on that, Joe.
Wait a second. Do we own Greenland?
What?
Do we own Greenland now?
Pretty much we're going to. We already had
Doesn't
all
look
rights.
like it.
We already
You
had
stopped
all
talking
rights.
about it.
We already had. It takes a while to negotiate that.
I don't hear any negotiation. He's negotiating in his own head. Who's he negotiating with?
Okay, I'm using the word negotiate. I hate to put it in quotes, but I'm using the word negotiate. That's what's going on. They're going to get what they want. They're going to have sovereign areas. We're going to have sovereign areas on Greenland that's going to be ours. Because let me tell you, Joe, we don't want Greenland. You know why? Because they get, I think, like 100% health care. They get all these social services. They'd have to get it from us. And then people here would say, how come we don't get it if the Greenlanders get it? We can't afford that. There's absolutely no way he's going to get what he wants without having to do it. Nobody wants to pay that kind of
Well,
money.
I don't know. I don't know if he's going to get Greenland. That's worth
He's going to get what we
wager,
need.
I think.
We're going to, Joe. We're not. You don't have to have all of Greenland, but if you have what you need,
But he already has. He already has that. He has the right for bases.
And there's going to be certain areas that we're going to get that they're going to say is American.
Our bases. Our bases.
More than bases. They're going to say it's American. It's going to be like, what is it down in Cuba, where
Guantanamo.
It'll be like Guantanamo.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
so does that mean we have Cuba because we have Guantanamo?
We own Guantanamo.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean we own Cuba.
We don't want to own Cuba. Look
exactly. We're not going to own Greenland.
There.
We might own a couple of bases there like Guantanamo, but we're not going to own the island.
Yeah, I didn't say we're going to.
That's what he wanted.
That's
what he said he was going to do.
He doesn't want it. He knows it's too expensive. You can't do it, Joe. We can't afford covering those people because then Bernie here is going to say, Bernie and Warren are going to say, well, they get it, we get it, which would make perfect sense. There's no way that's happening. You're not bringing European social welfare into America. It's not happening.
He's not going to make Canada a state either then.
Sure he isn't. So don't fall for the Ministry of Disinformation. They're trying to send you here and send you here. He wants bases that we're going to have sovereignty over, and then we don't have to worry. It's going to allow him to do
anyway, Greenland is example number one. Example number two is what's happening in Minnesota.
Okay.
He fired, what's his guy's name? Bovino or whatever.
Bogino,
yeah, Paisan.
Bovino.
And he brought in Holman because it was unpopular. So he can read a poll, and when his poll number starts sinking, he starts changing his tune a little bit.
Holman's no different. Trump said he's not bringing anybody out of there.
Under certain conditions, he's going to start to withdraw.
Nice of him. Trump said none are coming out. And none have come out, and they're still doing the shit. Oh, excuse me. They're still doing the stuff there. I apologize. No cussing on this show. They're still doing the stuff there and taking in people and saying we don't need judicial warrants. We're just going to kick in a door and get whomever we want, wherever that door is, whether it's the car or this, because we don't need it. We are the masked thugs of Donald Trump, his national police.
And as people stand up and protest, he'll back down from that as well.
He hasn't backed down.
Not yet. He just announced it. But
you said he was.
He's calling a different tune, and so he doesn't appear to be too much of a taco. He always comes back with some statement that sounds real macho, but then he'll back down from that too, depending on how the polls are turning out and how the people are, the support that he's getting.
He doesn't care about the polls. He only cares about the polls. If you look at our chats here at the mosh pit, he only cares about those who are in there yelling and screaming, not coming up with facts, but just yelling and screaming. He knows they will back him up, and that's who he goes to. That's his only poll. He doesn't care about you or me. He doesn't care about independents. He doesn't care about these Republicans who are up for re-election. He just doesn't care. The only thing he cares about there is when he went on and said, I may get impeached. Number one, we shouldn't impeach the guy. It's a waste of time. You got to get work done. But it's just like Christy Noem. What are you impeaching her for? What a waste there. Doesn't matter. She wants to go out and have more plastic surgery on her face. Let her do it. Who cares? Bottom line is that we are now careening towards the 2026 elections. And this guy is in there with the Fulton County stuff, seeing what he can do, running like that. And world, he ain't a king. He's an emperor. Go ahead, Joe. Well, let me go into the mosh pit.
Go into the mosh pit. What are they saying in the mosh pit?
BTS. I don't know how many people died in ICE custody under Obama, but I'll tell you this. Obama did not send in mass troops into the cities, shoot Americans who are in the streets, kick in their doors without judicial warrants. He did none of that. He worked with the local police, the local administrations, so that the whole thing worked out. Okay? That's what he did. So he threw out a lot of people. And it wasn't good when they had all those people locked up. They couldn't believe that Barack Obama would do it. But they started cleaning that up. He did it by working with the other states and cities where he would go in. That was the difference. This guy's just sending in the shock troops with pepper balls and shooting people in the face with it. That's the difference. That's the difference. There's no CPCP, the 20% party. Who cares what they are? The party is whatever people vote for in the election. The independents move back and forth. I've been in a zillion elections I've seen. So is Joe. Everybody will tell you they're an independent. They're always an independent. And then when it's time to vote, they do what they do. I ain't worried about Democrat or Republican. People look at who's in power. And if they think that those who are in power are doing a horrible job, they'll vote against them. That's the bottom line. And look what just happened in Texas. You guys better wake up. You MAGAs who are on here, I say right on, but you better wake up. In Texas yesterday, in a state Senate, an area in Texas, a woman lost who was in a Trump district that won by 17 points. She lost to the Democrat. So you can say what you want. You can call people all the names that you want. Just like I say to the Democrats, don't have hubris. Don't think it's going to be easy going in. You have to assume the Republicans are going to fight you all the way, like Fulton County, because he can't do it the right way. So you're going to have all this going on. You can't have hubris there. You guys here, I'm telling you, you got hubris, you're going to get handled. It's just really, you're going to get handled. That's the problem. Next one. It's not that the police aren't allowed to work with ICE. Number one, what city are you talking about? What state are you talking about? And if you're talking about Minnesota and Minneapolis, there were 600 police and there were 3,000 ICE guys just cruising the streets. How are 600 police going to protect 3,000 or 2,000 ICE guys who have all of their guns and their pepper spray, and they're getting around? What are you talking about? Who's then going to look out for the citizens? Who's there if a citizen gets shot, not by an ICE person, but by a criminal? What if somebody has a burglary? What if somebody gets assaulted? Those police are there for that. That's what they're there for. There aren't enough of them. 3,000 guys in masks, in body armor, carrying guns, carrying pepper spray, and they're yelling about a guy who may have had a handgun. Talk about hypocrisy. Just too much. Let's see what else we have here. It's not right. It's idiots. Here it is. We're the Americans, my friends. Mad Dog, going to Just an American Citizen. I've had a flag there for like as long as it's been open, but 13 years. And please subscribe. It's been up there. America, we love. We say it all the time. I bet you can't even sing the Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance. I can. In the chorus, we learned how to sing the Pledge of Allegiance. You don't want to hear me do it, but I could do it. You could do it. Yeah, I bet you
here, Mark.
These guys don't have. I grew up with songs about George Washington, first in war, first in peace. Okay, I grew up loving America, and I
February President's Month.
That's right. There we are. But it should have been Washington's birthday and Lincoln's birthday the way it was. But that's where we are. It's just very simple. Antifa. Where's Antifa coming from? Ain't no Antifa here. Here we go. Unplugged. Right. And Democrats, land affordable really means expensive. I don't know what you're saying there. Obama used the local police. He worked with them to work together, not just the police, with the administration. He said, this is what I'm going to do. Will you work with me? He didn't send in 3,000 troops like he did in Minnesota with pepper spray and have a guy wearing a German uniform overcoat from the war, okay, and going after people and killing Americans. He just didn't do that because he talked to people. But, you know, when you come blowing into a city or you come blowing into a state and you say, this is what I'm going to do, people get mad and they get their back against the wall and say, I've had it. I'm not working with you until you show your good faith.
Mark, they don't believe you can sing the Pledge of Allegiance.
Come on.
Now, and then they say you're confusing the Pledge of Allegiance with the Star Spangled Banner. Now, who from Baltimore can confuse the Pledge of Allegiance from the Star Spangled Banner? That's what I want to know.
Oh, nobody wants to hear me sing it. I pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, America, and to the republic for which it stands. Dun, 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 dun. One nation under God, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, MAGA?
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes,
Don't you
excellent.
tell me you can't do that. Okay? I love this country. This is a great country.
And where do we get our national anthem?
What?
Where do we get our national anthem?
Maybe near Baltimore and a little.
I thought it like Fort
around
McHenry
there.
or something. Fort McHenry or something.
Yeah, a little fort there. Little fort. We
Couple
have no
miles from your
idea about
house.
we don't know the words there. The only difference here is we know the right way to do it, because when it goes, oh, everybody yells, oh, but you can only do that in Baltimore. So, and then when the Baltimore fans go other places and say it. But here we go. That's the bottom line. So, hey, guys, I'm waiting.
Oh, do we lose all our viewers?
No. They stayed on. I couldn't believe it. I think they were taping us ready to really. That's going to be a blooper somewhere. Listen to that guy and the other egging them on. What can I tell you? But I do remember it. My George Washington song and all this. I love American history. So does Joe. It's just go. Oh, look at this savage cactus. So you sit there. All I can say is, Spartacus, you're doing a great job. And those of you who are really coming in and putting in your ideas, we really enjoy it. We really like hearing it. We really like seeing it. Guys like Kelly or women like Kelly, just good Americans who are in here doing it. And Joe, I'm going to say it one more time. You guys want to see what MAGAs live for? Go onto YouTube. Look up Devo, and then see the Devo corporate anthem. We're run by the rich people. The rich people are making all the money, and Trump runs with it and makes it even better. And what a great video. You'll see as they're sitting there saluting. We are devolving. We are devolving with such a great country. We'll be back. It was such a great country. Joe, that's it for me. Can we go? Do you mind?
No album this week?
We're sticking Devo. We're focused on Devo. I gave you 2 Devo albums. Okay, Duty Now for the Future. And are we not Devo? Are we men? We are Devo. Because we got to talk about what reality is. We're going back to the 1800s here. It's like James Polk, President Polk. He had to take different pieces of land. What was that? Before the Civil War. Hey, yeah. Okay. What can I tell you? I love our history.
So, just real quick, I understand Deep Purple is getting back together again and going to tour.
It depends on who it is, because some of them, you remember,
Ian Gilliam is going to be the singer, and
so
I guess they don't have Richie. Richie Blackmore is not in the band.
He's only the lead guitarist. He's only.
I know, but I don't think he's going to be there. But
look, I think some of the guys have died. And remember, you had the original group with what's his name from Whitesnake. Then you had the classic group. Then you had the breakup, and then you had the group with the lead singer from Whitesnake, and went from there. And he did Deep Purple, and he had Glenn Hughes and a couple others. But without Richie Blackmore, it's nothing. He was the guitar player. He's the man.
Ian Gilliam,
what
singer? Ian Gilliam is the best singer, best rock singer of all time.
Let me tell you something. You want to hear a song? Get the Deep Purple album in rock and listen to the song in rock, the title song. He blows his lungs out like you have never heard in your life. And it's great. But the problem is people have trouble sitting and listening to something for 10 minutes. It's absolutely great. In rock, the album, the whole album Blackmore's burning. It's like 69 or 70, just when we have broken out and you're about to lose Jimmy and Janis and Jim Morrison and all this. And we were going into rock, and Zeppelin's happening and all this stuff starting to break out. Oh, Such great music.
That's good
So
stuff.
In Rock is I have the album. I just love the album. It's just I listen to it all the time. So Joe and I are agreeing on this one. And on that album, you'll never hear an alarm clock, because on a rock album, you don't need alarm clocks to wake people up. Joe, if you're square, we ain't there. Please come on next Wednesday at 5 p.m. We'd love to see you. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all, okay? Especially our friends who come on a lot, work with us. Spartacus, we love you.
Mike, Spartacus, Guillermo.
Joe's been seeing everybody, whoever else has been there, our friends. I love you all, and I really appreciate it. Those who yell and scream, and we don't care about them. They want to put stuff up, okay? You guys are the greatest. We have a great mosh pit, some really good people. Joe, and that's the way it is.
Period.
See you Wednesday at 5. Thanks for coming. Thank you again, Spartacus.